everybody. Appreciate everybody coming. Our second meeting. So we've got a pretty good turnout tonight. I'm going to go over a few things before we get rolling. Today's agenda, got our club announcements. We're going to speak on our club fish swap April the 2nd. We've got our new logo set in that we've worked on, and got a few other ones that we might include. We've got a bio for tonight of one of our members. We've got our special guest, Kinny, of Aquatic Marine, who's going to speak for us. And then, of course, the same as last time, we've got our raffle at the end. So, I'm going to go over our mission statement one more time. I went over it last month, but I know a few of you couldn't attend, so we'll just cover it one more time. So, our mission statement is to create an aquarium club of like-minded aquarists to discuss the aquarium hobby, learn from fellow aquarists and professionals, have aquarium-related events for members to exchange in fish and plants, promote the hobby beyond our group to encourage fish keeping within our community. And I'm sure all y'all that's members in the group have seen, we have our banner contest every month where you can submit pictures of your fish or your tanks. So if you hadn't seen on the group, we're just going to share our winner for the month was Richard Wild, was actually our speaker for last month on photography. And then we also wanted to announce, which we also have here tonight, our speaker for next month, which will be Sean Peck. If you guys haven't heard of him, he's been in the game for a long time and puts out very good content on YouTube. And also, if anybody'd like to give a bio, it's definitely not a requirement, but some people don't mind to get up here and speak, and some people, you know, want to hide in the back as far as they can. But if you would like to, we're definitely looking for volunteers. You know, just get up here and speak on how you got in the hobby, how long you've been in, maybe some points of interest, just a short bio about yourself. So if anybody be interested in that, you can get with me or Jason or Curtis or JT, one of the directors, and we'd definitely love to have your bio. I want to go over our fish swap while we've got you guys here. It's going to be April the 2nd. It's going to be on North Broadway Street. It's the Lions Club building in Fountain City. We've already got the building booked and ready to go. It's our first official ETAA event for aquarists to come and buy, sell, trade fish, plants, and aquatic related goods. Come talk fish, meet local breeders and hobbyists. All are welcome, and all proceeds go towards the ETAA club. So the entrance fee is going to be $2 a person, and then if you want to get a table, it's $20 for a full table to sell, you know, whatever fish, plants, aquarium merch, whatever you got going, or $10 for a half table. And then I think one of the last things I got to go over here is our new logo. So let's see. There we go. So this is our official logo that we've decided to go with here in the center. A few of the other ones we've got here on the side, just some kind of ideas we've thrown around, you know, because you don't have to have just one set thing. And then, of course, on the other side, we've got some shirts that we're working on getting going. And if anybody's got any interest in things like that, definitely let us know. We're going to see about getting some stickers and shirts, and if it goes well, maybe we can get some other merchandise things going. Just, you know, if you want to show that you go to the local club and kind of display it to other people. And, alright, that's all the announcements I got for today. And Cassandra is going to give us her bio. I'm going to let you go ahead and come up and tell us who you are and what you do.
Hey y'all, I'm Cassandra. You'll probably see me posting on the Facebook group. If you're in the Facebook group, I post on there pretty regularly. I started this hobby, 2022 is now my 30th year. So when I was a little kid, my dad and I got a 10-gallon fish tank with a cute little wood panel stand, as was the style at the time. And had a community tank where we kept every kind of fish that we could find in the fish store and made every mistake you could possibly think of. And over the next 10 years or so, that tank got torn down and redone and torn down and redone. I kept newts and frogs and all kinds of things, collected fish from local streams, kept them in there, and realized they were trout. And that was a bad mistake in a 10-gallon tank. I upgraded when I was in my early 20s. I upgraded to this 55-gallon tank that I keep as my display tank now, and turned that into a community tank as well. And accidentally started breeding zebra danios after I got some live blackworms from my local fish store. They went crazy for the blackworms and just started spawning all over the place. I had no idea what was going on. But this started a kind of a change in my hobbyist style, right? So I went from your community tanks to, well, I want these fish because I think it would be fun to breed them. So that led to me accidentally stumbling upon my local fish club, which I had no idea existed at the time. This was probably early 2000s, so social media wasn't that big at the time. This was a group of people who only did killifish. You'll see my striatum in the corner up there. That's one of the species that I've kept for many, many years. It's one of my favorites. It is a picture of this fish that got me into keeping killifish. So to date, I've bred about a dozen different species of mostly killies, about 8 different types of killies and 4 or 5 other different kinds of fish. When COVID hit, unfortunately, I lost everything. My landlord pulled a fast one on me. My lease had been up right when everything was getting shut down, so he said, I'm giving your apartment to my daughter, so you need to move. So with a couple weeks, I closed everything up into storage, lost all my fish, all my plants. As of August, I'm rebuilding. This is now the new space that I'm in. Redoing everything that I've been doing. So I'm changing from low light to high light, doing some high tech tanks for the first time, which has been really fun. And the reason I'm here is to spread some knowledge, to share some knowledge, hopefully learn from everybody, and share what I've learned from the people who took me under when I first joined my first fish club. I guess that's it.
Can I throw one thing in there about her?
Mm-hmm.
She knows so much about high-tech plants and keeping stuff. It's ridiculous. So if you need a resource, as she probably is like, why does this guy keep PMing me? She knows tons about lighting and your CO2s and high-tech. I mean, she grows some serious plants. So
yeah, for sure. And don't feel like you're ever bothering me. I
don't.
love to geek out about fish stuff. Curtis hits me up, Mitch hits me up, Jason talks to me, I talk to Derek online. Like, it's fine. Hit me up anytime, ask me whatever.
yeah, that's what this club's all about, stuff like that. So thank you for Cassandra for doing that.
Yes, thank you very much. See, if any of y'all want to give a bio like that, Cassandra, she's not one of our board members, she's just a regular member. She sent in the photos and give her bio. Did a great job on her presentation. Thank you very much for that. We'd definitely like to have some other y'all give bios if you'd like to. With that, I'd like to introduce our next speaker. I'm sure many of you know him. It's Kinny, Parrot, the famous man in Knoxville, and owner of Aquatic Marine, and I'll let you take the stage, buddy.
All right, thank you. Uh-oh, JT's been at it. Oh my goodness. First I want to say thank you all for the opportunity. Thank you for the board reaching out to me and asking me to be here today. As I went through my head and tried to figure out exactly what I want to talk about, something I always go back to that's been a basic fundamental line and close to my heart is water quality right out of the gate. So the thing I want to, one thing you got to think about water is almost nothing survives. If you do some research, you'll see that desert tortoises, kangaroos, and other animals can go long periods of time without water. Us as humans, we're made up of a lot of water. So, and we need good water to flush out toxins and do different things, as well as our fish. So what I want to share with you today is just some basic fundamentals and share some of the knowledge. Under no conditions am I an expert, so I have to give you my legal disclaimer. I hear nothing, I know nothing, I see nothing, I wasn't here, and I didn't even wake up this morning, and this is legally binding. So some of you older folks may remember this guy, but anyway, I'm going to do my best to share something that's near and dear to me, and that's water quality. Water covers 70% of the earth. Fish, plants, animals need it, we all need it. Our human body is made up of 60% water. And if you've ever done like a bod pod or one of those things that tells your bone density and your organ density from your fat cells, different things, it's pretty amazing technology that they use. But you know, in order for us to flush our bodies of toxins, we need good clean water. If we're importing toxins from bad water, it's not really helping us. And the same thing can be said for our fish and our aquariums. And our water sources can be problematic. I'm not going to read every one of these. How many people in here on well water? Anybody? Anybody? Okay, got one. Anybody else? Okay, so both of them can be problematic. The biggest issue with city water is when they change their chemicals or they get a new water quality guy and he wants to use the same chemical from a different company or powder or whatever it is, however they process, whatever they choose in chlorine, different things, can also mess with different things. And as the end users that we are for city water, we need to be mindful of what could come in and what changes. So what I want to share with you today as we continue through this process is basically a whole house filter. And it's a carbon block, 4x10 carbon block that protects your entire home. And as we go through this process, you'll see all the things that it will do for you at a very economical price. As a store owner, we get a lot of people that come in and all of a sudden all their fish are dead and they just don't know what happened. Well, we're limited on what we can do as far as water testing. It boils down to how long we've been doing this, what we've seen before, signs of what the fish had. You know, it's kind of an assessment that we make the best that we can based on what they tell us. A lot of times they don't even bring pictures of the fish with them, which makes it even a little bit more challenging. But we do our very best to help everybody, and a lot of times it boils down to water quality or something happened that changed the molecular makeup of your ecosystem in your water. You know, with well water, and I don't know if you've ever had an issue with well water. I remember years ago when I lived in Kentucky, there was a friend of mine who lived in a house that was on well, and their shower was stained brown with copper stain and just the different things that comes along with it. And you think about, man, what's the inside of those pipes going through? You know, what are they drinking? All these different things. So even before I had taken a break at that time from aquariums for a little bit, but I was processing even then, okay, man, this is some bad water, and it smelled a little funny too. So, you know, there's lots of ways you can treat that, filters, different things like that. But in order for us to keep some of this stuff and some of the problematic things out of our systems, we need to put in a firewall, kind of like your computer, but we need to do a water wall, if you will. And there's some ways that impact your water quality to minimize the impact. You can boil your water softeners. You gotta be really careful with water softeners. Some water softeners, depending on the salt you put in, can strip your water too far down and make it too soft. Some fish do really well with soft water. Some fish don't. So you gotta be careful with water softeners. Water filters, carbon. A lot of people run carbon in their systems. I have my own perception, and if anybody asks, I'll share my 2 cents worth on where I believe carbon belongs in this industry and in aquariums, and everybody has opinions. There's 30 different ways you can do one thing in this hobby. But I basically want to talk to you about the water filters today, and then I'll touch on reverse osmosis, but I mainly want to share with you how this one device can help protect not only you and your fishes, but objects in your home as well. If you take a minute and look at this chart, there are several things that reverse osmosis does for you. But if you just take a minute and you look at the organic compounds and chlorines of what it removes, just carbon filtration, and this is a chart from Brita. And basically, this is a Brita filter. If you've never seen one, it's a picture that has an insert in it that decontaminates your water, but it only does organic compounds and chlorine. To me, I'm a little bit perplexed. There's some pretty creative engineering that's gone into a lot of pesticides over the years. So I'm a little bit, I think it would remove a lot of pesticides, but I don't know, some of the stuff they do nowadays kind of is a little wonky, and I'm not sure. But it also absolutely depends on the quality of the carbon that the manufacturer is using every time they get a shipment of carbon to replend their stuff. You have to be mindful of what and the source is and how they're using it, so you get the maximum result for your filtration. So this is the GE whole house water filter. It's amazing. And for example, if some of you are probably thinking, well, man, my pressure regulator's under the house, my main line. Well, at home, and I'll have a picture of our cat closet because you don't want to see the cat closet. But because we wanted this to protect the whole house, I had the plumber go into the house just past the regulator, put an elbow in, bring it up into the front closet right inside the front door, mount it on the wall, and then take the water line back down out of it, back under the house, so I could change it easily every 2 to 3 months as needed. They typically last about 30,000 gallons for the average family. So for us, it would last, because we had so many family members at one time, we were going through them about every 6 to 8 weeks. But at about $17 a pop, it's well worth it as you begin to see more of the benefits. Make sure if you get one, my opinion, if you'll notice this, the sump on this one's clear. You can see the inside holder for the bottom of the filter, where the water separates to go in from unfiltered to filtered. And make sure you get clear. It's so much easier to see what's happening with your water filter. They're 40 to 100 PSI. You can install it in your basement garage, wherever your stuff comes in. This alone does not make your aquarium water safe for your aquarium. I'll be very clear about that. It will polish your water, bring clarity, not allow yelling. There's a lot of things that it will stop, especially pesticides, majority of them. I won't say all of them, but things do happen. And then the biggest thing is just monitoring it. And at the end, you'll see that I use it both at home and at the store in front of our commercial RO system. The cost of installation is based on whether you can plumb it in yourself, if it's in your garage where your pressure regulator is, where your main incoming pipe is. You can put it wherever you want. In your home, you may have to run some extra plumbing, but they're really not that difficult to put in. And nowadays with shark bites and all the technology they have in plumbing, you can put it in fairly easily. And just some of the things, it improves the taste, it protects your water heater, your faucets. You know, sometimes you're like washing your hands and these little slide knobs and the dials that turn our water off and on. One day it's working great, and then all of a sudden it just starts dripping, and you're like, what happened? Well, it could be the smallest piece of metal that comes through if you don't have a filter, through all your plumbing and makes it to that O-ring and just puts a little bitty nick in it, and the next thing you know, you got a pesky drip. And you gotta go chase down the O-ring, pull that thing apart, change it, or nowadays some of them you have to change the little cylinder in the whole faucet in order to get the O-ring bushing and stuff. It reduces scaling in your appliances, water heaters, coffee pots, any other type devices you may have. If you're one of those that drinks the what they call it, espressos with your little pinky up, it helps with the scaling on those as well. And it'll make your refrigerator carbon filters last a whole lot longer as well, because you have a buffer on the front end of your whole house. And if you suffer from skin conditions, I'm not a dermatologist, this is legally binding, but a lot of people think that taking too hot a shower or different thing may inflame some things, but fluoride is one of the main things, and carbon will help reduce the amount of fluoride, chlorine, chloramines that come into your house. So it may help you in many other ways besides just that way. Now, while we're hit this screen on, I'm going to show you something. This is the GE whole house filter you can get at Home Depot. This one's just slightly heavier. I believe this one has more carbon. This one is GE. I went and bought this just for this presentation. I'm going to take this back to Home Depot. I don't use the GE one from Home Depot, and I'll tell you why. Nowhere on this it says carbon. Nowhere on it. I called GE, and this was probably last year. And just to make sure I was still right, I called them again this week when I bought it. And I said, I can't find anywhere on this label it says carbon, but they claim this is a carbon sediment filter. But nowhere on this package does it say carbon, so that makes me sketchy. Because if I'm going to give you carbon, I'm going to declare that as part of the product. So I order these off Amazon, shop local for your fish stuff, but for your filters, shop Amazon. But this is made by Aquabond and Boone, whatever you say. But the very first thing it says is carbon block. And this is what I've been using in my home and in our store regularly. Now, at the store, all on your seats, anybody want to take a guess how many gallons we go through a week or a month at Aquatic Marine? Give me some numbers.
100,000.
Up.
Per month?
Yeah.
20,000?
Up.
I'd say 250.
250,000?
Mm-hmm.
No, that's too much. But we range anywhere from 40 to 60,000 gallons of processed water a month between what we use in the store and the amount of water we sell. And our water sales has gone up astronomically because of the quality of RODI and RO that we put out. I monitor our water every day. I'm working 7 days a week. I hope one day I won't be, but the very first thing when I get to the store, when I get there in the morning, the first thing I do is walk back to my RO system. I inspect everything. I look at this cartridge. I'll show you a picture at the end. But water quality is near and dear to my heart, and I want everybody to have a happy ecosystem. So I feel like we go above and beyond. We have honestly 8 or 9 stages on any water you buy from us out of our RO sink. We have 8 or 9 stages of filtration, extra sediments before it even goes to the sink. Just in the event something were to get through, we polish it one more last time before we dispense it at that sink. But Aquabond, however you want to say it, but you can get 2 of these for like 35 bucks on Amazon delivered to your door. And what you can do is when you change them, you can go out to your meter. If you don't have, I don't have a meter in my house, I have one at the store. But you can go out to your water meter, look on your water meter, write down the gallons, come back out, make you a little P-Touch label, put your little label. We put a date on them at our store every time we change them. And you can keep up with how many gallons has gone through it so that you can get your best money out of this. It's rated up to 30,000 gallons. So if it's just 2 people and a couple fish tanks, you may be able to make this sucker last 6 months.
It's on your water bill too.
Do what?
It's on your water bill.
Yeah, and your water bill, yeah. And when your water bill comes, if you time it right and you change it when your water bill comes, you can cycle through. But yeah, exactly right. And that's another reason I know what our water bill is, because it's up there. Believe me, it hurts to pay that every month. But this also does down to 5 micron. Does anybody know how many microns the human eye can see? How small a micron we can see? The average is 50 to 70 microns with the bare eye. And that's pretty stinking small. So you can get these down to 1 micron and even 0.5 micron. But I'm gonna tell you what you're gonna do. You're gonna take a very slow shower. If you go down any lower than 5 micron, it is going to slow you down. And as soon as it gets there, but don't buy the GE, buy Aquaboon or something else that declares carbon right on it. And this one, I want to say, probably weighs a pound more than this one. So don't buy the GE ones from Home Depot, but I love their housings. Every commercial project we do and every custom aquarium build we do, we ask our clients, we don't touch plumbing in the home, we only touch plumbing in the aquarium. If they need a spigot for a RO unit for us to install, they have to get a licensed plumber, or they can install it themselves. We don't touch people's homes other than to set an aquarium in and work on stuff we bring. But we do request they get one put in for their whole house, and 9 times out of 10, when I give a mini presentation like this to them, they're ready to protect their whole house. So I encourage you to consider investing in this. You can do it for under 100 bucks. I mean, this is like, what, 54 bucks?
Yeah, it was 54.
Yeah, 54 bucks at Home Depot, and then plumbing parts, maybe 25 bucks, depending on how far you gotta go. Plumbing's pretty cheap. And then your filters, depending on where you wanna buy them besides Home Depot. But that frustrates me because I feel like people buy these and there may be a fault. There may be carbon in it, but it doesn't say carbon on it. Called this week, she couldn't tell me if it had carbon in it. So, I kinda got ahead of myself. Organic materials, that's basically a fancy word for organic materials. It reduces yellowing. The other thing too is, believe it or not, water companies will use Kool-Aid and Gatorade when they're troubleshooting and trying to find leaks and different things. Plus they have commercial dyes they buy. So all of those are supposed to be FDA approved and not supposed to harm anybody, whatever, and I believe that they are, but just in the event something was used that wasn't, you would be well off to have this carbon block. And then you get less scaling, water won't be quite as hard, it neutralizes organics, reduces phosphates, takes the pressure off your water conditioners. You know, when you've got really bad water, your water conditioner, you really got to make sure you dose it right in order to keep your stuff alive. And I believe sometimes that people misuse the water conditioner that causes problems. Too much water conditioner can definitely take out and cause problems with some of your fish. If you mess up and use tap water to clean some of your biomedia or some critical items in your aquarium, you're better off with this carbon block. It's not going to be a surefire thing, but it's still going to kill off a little bit of your beneficial bacteria on your biomedia. So I always recommend you use conditioned water or used aquarium water. I prefer used aquarium water, especially if you're cleaning your biomedia or ceramic rings or something out of your sump or filter. And just peace of mind knowing you're taking water quality to the next level for yourself. You know, if you've got cloudy water, put one of these things in. If you live in an apartment or whatever, there's still options. You can hook this thing up with a garden hose and a bucket. You know, you can easily adapt some garden fittings, and they sell PVC fittings in the garden aisle that are female water hose fittings that you can adapt to, and you can set this thing up and create just when you're doing your own, just for aquarium water. Let me show you this before I get ahead of myself. I think we talked about Home Depot's water testing. This is free. You can pick these up there at the store on Callahan. It's a free water test. I guarantee you a salesman will call you and they'll try to sell you a filter system, but they will send you results. I've not done it yet, but I plan to do it on my home with this one, so I understand more. But I noticed these about a month ago on a swirly thing up by the exit door up front at Home Depot. But it's a free water test, so if you want to start there, that'd be a great place to start. You'll be able to see what's in your water and stuff, but it is free, and I'm sure somebody will call you trying to sell you something. Anybody wants that one, I'll just leave it on the table, but I'll pick up another one. I'm at Home Depot about 5 times a week. And then the other thing I want to show you is this is a used one. This one came out of the store this week. This one had about 40,000 gallons through it before I got it changed. And what's amazing to me is every day when I walk back there, I just put a new one in this week. It was just like this one. It looks like this. And every morning, one of the things I'm looking for is to see if it browns out overnight. And what that means is they probably had a water break somewhere in a water main, somewhere in the infrastructure that's probably 40 to 60 years old. They're digging the hole, the pipe was leaking already, and when they know they got a leak, I think they just go to town with that digger, just bust it up and get down in there and get it done, then cut the pipe straight and put it all back together. So when they do all that, if they're steel pipes, iron pipes, they're using these saws, so you get metal shavings. And I've actually seen chunks of metal shavings stuck to this screen where it's come into the building, and this has protected my big RO system. So this is about 40,000 gallons of use, but most of the time it will brown out as soon as they've done something. So what that makes me feel good about is I stopped it. I stopped it. It didn't get into my RO, it didn't get into my faucets, it didn't get into my people's drinking glasses, it didn't get anywhere in my building. It stopped right there. And that's 5 microns. We can't see it with the human eye. The best we can see is 50, so 10 times smaller than the speck of dust that you can see was stopped. And so I take a lot of satisfaction in knowing, and then I'll change it. When they get that brown, I'll change it. But that one didn't change overnight. It slowly tanned over a long period of time, so I let it go a little longer. But if it had clayed out, some of them had been bright red, and I'll change them immediately. And I know for a fact they were working. So just be mindful and think about that. But I kept all that out of my coffee pot, my refrigerator filter, everything in my house, and especially my body. You still need to use your aquarium conditioners. Ultimate Prime, does anybody use a different, these are the 2 primary ones that I've always used. Does anybody else use a different water conditioner?
I use Aqua Complete.
Aqua Complete, okay.
Fruit's complete.
Fruit's Complete, okay.
I use API.
Okay.
Just use plain sodium thiosulfate.
There you go. That works too. So, we sell Fritz as well. I probably should have put that up there, but anyway, I was just trying to give some examples. But again, don't not use your water conditioners. It's important because it also helps with your fish's slime coat. It helps them replenish. Just quickly to touch on reverse osmosis. Again, a lot of this varies based on what micron sediment filter, carbon filter you use. Some people will put a 1 micron sediment filter, and then they'll put a 5 micron carbon filter, and then they'll even go down to 0.5. When you drop down to 0.5, you better not need water fast, because it's going to slow your RO system down, especially if you're relying on 60 to 80 psi of just normal plumbing pressure coming in. If you're going to use a 0.5 micron of anything in a filter, you can add a booster pump. Booster pumps range anywhere from $40 to $100 that will automatic shut off, more closer to 100 if you want it to automatically shut off. But then the water comes in and goes through. This is your auto shut off. So what happens if you have, like for example, if you had nothing else hooked up but this faucet you install by your sink so your family can drink reverse osmosis water, basically there's a bladder in this solenoid, and as that satisfies, once you turn the water back up, if you let go of the handle and it quits pumping, once the pressure reaches up, once this tank fills back up, because your water that's going to come out of here comes straight out of this tank. But once this is satisfied and the water's remade and this is refilled, this pressurizes and that bladder solenoid closes and keeps you from wasting wastewater. If you have an RO system, you don't have the solenoid bladder on there, and these are like 15 bucks. Your water will just continue to run because nothing's telling it to shut the wastewater off, and it'll just continue to run. Your water bill will be up there. And then this is your membrane. Membranes have like Film Tech. 3M has this Film Tech, and basically as the water passes through the tightly woven, tightly wound membrane, it stretches the molecules and it pulls out the bad stuff and only allows pure water to go through. And then this person also chose to have one more post-carbon filter so their water is extra clean. And basically that's how an RO system works, is basically you bring your contaminated water in, you start with your sediment. Your sediments and carbon blocks both have somewhat of a sediment and screens on that will protect your membrane, because your membrane is the most expensive part. Typically membranes will last you 12 to 18 months if you just have 3 or 4 aquariums and you're just drinking water out of your faucet. They'll last you a lot longer. But I do encourage you to keep on top of your sediment filter, just to keep an eye on it, especially get one with a clear sump so you can visually inspect it. RO benefits, a lot of them are pretty similar. The other thing, parasites do grow in our water system, so they can't make it through a reverse osmosis system because of their size. So there's a lot of benefits right here to having a reverse osmosis system. You can get a really good, and I just share information because I love this hobby. We get our RO systems we sell are BRS. I've used BRS water filters for as long as I can remember. Even in jobs we do today, we order them when we're installing in people's homes. We order bulk resupply. They have good quality. I've never had an issue. When I have had an issue, I contact my rep and he sends me the parts. Sometimes they come in a little elbow broken, whatever. I've always had good customer service with BRS. And yeah, I could go somewhere else and get them cheaper, but I want quality for my customers, and it's less headache for our service guys and myself if we put in a good quality product that's well known. So that's reverse osmosis. That can be another topic for somebody if they wanted to, but there's a lot that goes into it. The biggest thing is that people don't realize how much bacteria, fungus, yeast, and molds can be present in water, even with all the treatment that they do to things. If you do choose to use RO water in a aquarium, we do highly recommend that you replenish your and put your minerals back in, your good clean minerals, and Seachem makes a good product for that. There's probably others out there, but that's the only one we sell and the only one we use. We use it in the store. We sell a lot of the small bottles. The minerals are like, I think it's like $3 or $4 for the small bottle, and it'll last you a long, long time. It doesn't take much, but you do need to, if you get RO water from us and you use it in fresh water, we do highly recommend you replenish your stuff. And then your pH levels, depending on what you keep, you know, this just kind of gives you your pH levels, this little reference thing. One thing I didn't realize until I was putting this slide together is sports drinks 2.9 pH. I mean, I just never thought about, and the soft drinks 2.5. I just never thought about the pH of drinks, but that was kind of interesting.
A little bit of high quality reef salts will help you replenish your minerals in your RO too. Just don't go crazy if you're putting it in a planted tank or anything
For
like
fresh
that.
water?
Yeah, for fresh
Okay.
water.
That's what, if you've got questions about that, ask Jason, but yeah, it's good information. And basically it just tells you that the relevant minerals, blah, 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 this is the back of the bottle. But it's a great product as well. And I mean, it lasts forever, 500 gallons. If you got a 10-gallon tank, you're in business for a long, long time. So. This, talking about the store, this is that filter we use. Same one you see on the table. This is in front of all my several $1,000 science project, if you want to. These are gauges that tell us our output when the RODI is running, when RO is running. I have multiple TDS meters. I actually have too many, but I'm OCD. That detect the level of dissolved solids in my water as we're processing it. I have a pressure gauge to make sure that we are where we are. When I took this picture, it wasn't running. Everything's on automatic for both our RO and RODI. We have a holding tank of 350 gallons for the RO system. We also have a holding tank of 350 gallons for the RODI system. And then for once we mix the salt water in yet another tank in the water room, we have a 550 gallon tank of salt water. And we sell upwards of 200 to 300 gallons of salt water a day. We've actually had people quit making it home just because it's so much more convenient. They'd rather carry the buckets. And then this is my baby. That's our RO system. And basically this is 1 cubic yard of high quality carbon. I pay about, about 220 bucks to get the highest quality carbon to make, activated carbon, to put in that bad boy. And then I've got 3 sediment filters that run before my carbon. It's not laid out the way it runs, but it was just for the way the wall needed to work out with the fire marshal. They wouldn't let me move that. So anyway, long story short, it's not laid out the way it's used, but I used to use these two. These aren't in use right now. This is my old DI, but because our water volume of salt water went up so high, use DI for salt water, RODI for salt water. It's ultra purified to another level because when you add salt back in, we use Fritz RPM into the mixing part, it adds back almost 80 trace elements. And so we get all our minerals for our saltwater fish in the salt, like Jason was talking about, and it comes back in, but we've had to clean almost all the minerals out to get it where we need it to be for the fish. And this is kind of like our oh crap buttons, like, I'll tell you a funny story real quick. The other day, right above this door on the inside, we added a booster pump about a month ago from Aquatic. And it sits on a black shelf, it's bolted to a black shelf right on the inside door. And it's a pretty good sized motor, it'll be 1/2 horsepower. And it has a 3/8 inch line in and a 3/8 out. It uses these little John Guest fittings that are quick connects. Well, one side trades into the pump, the other side's quick connect. Well, the company that sent it to us got the Chinese versions, and well, the other day I came into the store and it was flooded. And I'm like, it was Monday, go figure. So I'm walking through and water has made it all the way over to the dry goods aisle on the other side of the coral systems if you've been in the store. Needless to say, I was not feeling very confident that day. Anyway, I went in the water room to see where the water came from. The floor was already dry. And so I'm looking around going, there's usually water standing there if it was in the water room. There's water under the water tank that we have up there on a rack. And I said, let me go check the fish room. I walk around the fish room, and it's all the way from the salt wall all the way over to the freshwater wall. And I'm like, and what's puzzling is there's nothing still leaking. There's no water coming out. And I'm like frustrated. And so I walk back into the water room before I call him. I'm like, I can't call my crew and say, can you come help me? Because they're on their route. And I said, I at least got to have an answer, you know? So I'm scratching my head and I'm looking under everything, rubbing my hands on pipe fittings. I'm like, this much water. It's almost like somebody walked in the store with a water hose and did all this and then left. And so I'm walking around, and then I noticed the power strip that's right by on the other side. There's two doors. On the other side of this door, there's a black toolbox, and there's a long power strip that's about 2 foot long, right by the toolbox that charges our batteries and if we need to do something on top of the toolbox. And the screw had come out of the drywall, and I was like, that's weird. And whoever put the power strip up used a really short screw and just only had it drywall. And I was like, wait a minute. I started feeling the wall. I'm like, man, the wall's wet. And I bent down to get and I had called my service crew, and they were on their way. They said, let's finish up here, we'll be on our way. And then April shows up, my new social media person. April back there works for me. But she comes in, next thing you know, she's got the vacuum shampooer sucking up water, and we're getting the shop back out, and then the guys show up and we're wandering around. Then while they're there, and my son's looking, he's just as perplexed. And he plumbs tanks every day and takes care of tanks in multiple places. Lo and behold, I went to reach down to the toolbox to get a drill to remount the power strip and get a longer screw, and there was water sitting on the top edge of the drawers of the toolbox. I'm like, wait a minute. And I turned around and looked up at that pump, and by this time, Josh, my son, is on top of the rack. If you ever want to see the water room, just ask me when you're there. But there's like a 2-story rack in there, and the 350s are on top. He's on top, and I'm like, I'm gonna go turn the DI sink on and see if it's not this stupid pump. And he said, there's no way it's that pump. And I said, and he's like, Dad, don't. And he said, that's not it. And I was like, okay, well, I'm stubborn. So I went up to the front, to the water side, cracked open the RODI and the RO to get water flowing. And by the time I got back to the room, it looked like a shower head. So what happened is after we closed on Sunday night at 5 o'clock, at some point that little plastic fitting split. And for the whole night, while that RODI tank was refilling 200 plus gallons, because every time I drop water to mix, I drop almost 200 gallons of water, 180 gallons out of that tank, and it has to refill. And that pump was put in to speed that process up because we've gotten so much water volume. And I walked back in the door, my son screaming, hit number one, hit number one. So I ran out in the hall and I killed power switch number 1, which shuts down the whole system. And so that's where our water came from. So it just, comical things happen, but it's not always convenient. I wish water issues would ask me first, but they don't. So, and then, there you go. Most of us have probably seen that movie, but water quality is near and dear to my heart. Am I a water scientist? No. Do I have a degree in biology? No. Do I have a degree in fish? No. But I have a degree in a lot of hard knocks and lessons and things I've learned. Does anybody have any questions?
I got a question.
Okay.
So I've got one of the house systems, it's like a 3-bank going into my kind of aquarium basement,
Mm-hmm.
but it's really interesting now, like using it for the rest of the house reasons and whatnot. So what would be a micron to where you wouldn't see an effect of pressure if I did put that like at the very where the water first comes in?
I wouldn't go below 5 micron, and micron goes downward.
Yeah.
So, 10 is bigger, 50 is bigger, so 5 would be the lowest I would go. Do you know what your pressure is?
I think it's like 70 something. I've got a text on it, so.
I'll just say you can grab a little gauge. I think they're like $8.
Yeah.
You can screw it on your water hose fitting outside, crank it open, and it'll tell you what your pressure is. As long as you're between 60 and 80, I wouldn't go below a 5 micron. And honestly, you don't want your plumbing hammering much more than 80 psi. Because it's just gonna be hard on everything, and if you've got a fitting, I mean, today I had a little drip on one of our overhead pipes. Luckily, it was on the other side of a valve I could close that had no longer been used for where a cabinet used to sit. So I got lucky today on the water leaks, but yeah, I wouldn't go below 5 micron. Now, if you want to put in an RO system, you can always add a booster pump. If you see too much of a pressure drop, if you put the whole house system in, that extra little buffer may drop you a few PSI, especially as it starts to clog up after use. You can always add a little booster pump with a solenoid switch bladder that will push more water through your RO. And it will actually make a booster pump, I should have said this earlier, a booster pump will actually make your RO membrane more efficient. because it forces the water further through the membrane before it fizzles out. If you've got low pressure, you're not gonna get it completely wrapped around the membrane, and it's just gonna force it on out. Your quality will improve with a booster pump if you do see a diminishment in pressure. And there's all kinds of little gauges available, even on BRS, little gauges that you can put in line with 1/4-inch RO fittings and stuff.
I've got a follow-up question,
All right.
not related. How many times have you flooded Aquatic Marine?
You know, probably 30 plus.
Yeah.
How many times have your employees flooded Aquatic Marine?
Probably 31 plus.
28 plus.
But I'll tell you this, and Jake, I like him. He worked at the store forever. We bought the store without staff. We were going to staff it ourselves, and those guys. But remember the big 1,200 gallon, for those that've been there before, the big 1,200 gallon salt tank? It didn't have a check valve on it. Every time the power would go out, there would be 200 plus gallons of water on the floor. We had to take out walls when we bought it, get rid of black mold. I mean, there was just a lot of issues. And I blame nobody. I don't know who put that thing in, but it never had a check valve in all the years they ran. So when we got it, there was about 27 to 30, I always said 30 because I felt like it was more, small leaks behind the salt wall. That big long wall that goes big L's down the outside wall of saltwater. There was water in there. You know how you go to get a snow cone and they put it in a little paper pointed cut? There was like snow cones all down behind that wall of just over the years where water was just slow drips and it would just precipitate into salt. And it would just sit there. And it was like snow cones. And so for the first 4 days, Josh and I were there for like 14 hours a day, and we were just fixing leaks. We were just shutting down a tank, draining it down, fixing leaks, turning that one back on, going to which one we felt was IV dripping faster, and did that one next. And, you know, so it had a lot of issues, and we've come a long, long way. And a lot of that's thanks to you all. A lot of people ask me how COVID's affected us. COVID didn't make us a whole lot of money because Kinny kept reinvesting in the store. But I'll be the one to tell you, in our industry, in our hobby shop, it helped us because aquariums are indoors. If we had been, you know, golfing or some outdoor sport or some big community type thing, football leagues, whatever, that, as most of you know, a lot of that was impacted. So for us, we were fortunate in that way, but we did get beat up a lot socially because of we followed the mask mandate of City of Knoxville. They hold our business license, and if we didn't follow the mandate, we could be shut down and all these different things. We got letters. I mean, it's crazy. But, and I respect everybody that chooses to wear a mask or not wear a mask. Everybody's, as far as I'm concerned, make their own choice. But we had a sign out front. As soon as the City of Knoxville did that, I put a big sign out on the sidewalk because, I mean, that way it took the pressure off me. It wasn't my decision to talk to the mayor, you know, because they hold our license. So that. Any other questions?
So will that reduce the water pressure in your house?
Very slightly. You won't notice this because it is 5 micron. But if you're concerned about that, I'd get one of those little spigot things for $7 before you install it. And as long as you're between 60 and 80, and our house runs on the lower side of 60. By the way, going back for a second, I don't have a picture of the cat closet, but Josh, this is the exact same system we have at the service shop behind our house that Josh and the service crew runs out of every day, and RO system. They have the same exact setup in the shop behind our home that they run out of every day. So we do the exact same water quality and have been since Parrot Aquatic. Some of y'all may remember that. We started in 2014 with Parrot Aquatic out of our garage. Some of you may have bought stuff from us out of our garage. But yeah, but if you're concerned about that, I would get one of those little gauges, $7, $8, $10, whatever they are. With increases now, it could be 12, but it just screws on your water hose outside. You crank it wide open, let it sit for a couple minutes, and whatever that reading is. And if you're 60 to 80, you shouldn't have any issues.
And there's not enough carbon to remove the chlorine?
Not completely. It will reduce it drastically. But again, I don't think it's going to be considered fish safe. And also too is your carbon exhaust, because of all the different pollutants, organics that it's stopping. They say it on average it lasts 30,000, but they're assuming you have fairly decent water coming in. And again, if they work down your subdivision, I mean, they've been digging our subdivision up, putting in gas lines, and they've hit the water lines a couple times. And so they've been out and repaired. You know, we had a little 6-foot geyser down the road the other day where they nicked a pipe with one of those rotor-rooter things they're pushing the pipes down through it. So that whole front yard got dug up and they had to cut out the metal and all that. So I haven't seen any metal shavings in our one at home, but you know, little things like that can put a demand on there. So sometimes they may not last you that long. And if you notice the water pressure, the first thing I would do is, if you haven't visually inspected this in a while, is go visually inspect this. That's what I do. If I see a drastic, you know, if I get in the shower one morning, it's just like, and I'm like, this is not my normal shower. I don't feel like singing today. So I get out and go, once I get done, I go check that thing, and sometimes I need to change it sooner than normal.
Yeah, the shower's super important.
It is. It's absolutely important.
Efficient for it, but you know.
I need pressure for my shower. Yeah. But anyway, and then you want me just to jump to your slide, or?
Well, I do want to just say, Kenny, we appreciate you coming here and presenting that. We consider Kenny an ambassador of the hobby in the local group. And I know my basement, with all the aquariums I've got in there, wouldn't be what it is today without the help of Aquatic Marine. So he talked on the filtration and whatnot, but we definitely wanted to put somewhat of a focus on both Aquatic Marine and the event that he's holding in April. So if you want to tie in on some of that, we really appreciate it.
Thank you. I didn't want to come in as a sales pitch. This kind of group, I was a member of a group, and sometimes people come in and it's just like their pitch, buy my store. And I'm a hobbyist at heart. I want everybody to succeed, no matter, and I get on to people, and I shouldn't get on to customers, but they'll come in and say, oh, it's only a 10-gallon. It's still an ecosystem. You are still responsible for those fish, and they're still your friend. And they will bring you out of some hard times emotionally, physically, and mentally. When I stress out, can't sleep, I get up and go to the store, and 9 times out of 10, I clean the tank, do a water change, move some corals around, thump a clownfish in the head for biting me, you know, whatever. But that's my piece, and they're like, you know, you clean the tank? I said, yeah, because I'm taking care of somebody else. I'm not thinking about me and what I'm dealing with. So I do love this hobby, and I do appreciate the opportunity to speak about this. And if I can ever help anybody, don't hesitate to reach out to me. But Aquatic Marine was founded in 2009. I'll tell you a quick story. Trent, a young man, Trent Roberts, some of you may remember the story, it was years ago, it's tragic. But Bobby Roberts, his dad, they started out in the warehouse. Did anybody ever shop the warehouse at Aquatic Marine over on Beaver Ridge or Beaver, whatever, Creek Road, whatever? Trent was going to college to be a business major. And so he started a fish business in the warehouse, and then he did really well, and Bobby owned some businesses. Bobby had a little bit of money, and he's like, hey, let's just get you a store while you're going through college. You can learn about business and actually run one, you know, while you're going through college. And so they built Aquatic Marine. This was an old DOT garage. They worked on like the highway patrol cars and other stuff years and years ago. But Bobby and them leased it and remodeled it. And wow, that's an old picture, JT. It had the koi ponds on the front of it. But anyway, the store opened in 2009. About 18 months, 2 years later, Trent was tragically killed, the son that Bobby built this for, in a terrible traffic accident, something to do with tires, and a bus crossed the road and hit him head on, and it just was, and he was ejected, and he was sleeping in the back seat. He didn't have his seatbelt on because they had been to a big boating thing for a couple days, camping, and he was killed instantly. And Bobby and his wife basically kept it open as a memorial to his son. And it took him about 7 or 8 months to come to terms with it. He approached me, and he's like, I watched you on Instagram. I really think this would be good for you. Would you consider this? And we talked several times, and he'd back away, and he'd talk to me, and he'd back away. And then finally he came to me in July, and he said, I've got to do this now. And so we wound up buying it. But long story short, I love that man to death. He gave us an opportunity we wouldn't otherwise gotten probably. And to be honest, a retail store is something I never saw myself owning. It's a big headache most of the days, but I still love the hobby. But I still don't want the retail store, just to be clear. But I do love the hobby. So 2009, we bought it in August of 2019. This year will be our 3rd year in August. Real quick, another story on the koi ponds. When I moved in, they'd already sold the one on the right, and the reason they started selling the koi ponds, the homeless people would break into them. They had locked screens on at night, and they were eating the koi fish. you would find, and even after we bought the store, while the other one was still there, you would find like tuna cans or pinto bean cans with the labels burnt off and a burnt spot in the grass where they would build a little fire. And I don't know how the can worked, but there was bones of koi fish out back, and I'm just like, anyway, so I gave the other one away to a guy named Greg that drives a wrecker, and I'm like, he came in, went out to get some stuff, and I'm like, hey, you need a koi pond. He said, yes, I do. And I said, back that wrecker up there, and he did. Pushed it right up on the rollback, and it left, and I was never more happy, but we got rid of that real quick. But Aquatic Marine. We remodeled the whole store. Some of you, if you ever shopped at Harry's out in Oak Ridge before he closed, this was his system. Bobby and Trent bought it from him years and years ago. Anybody shop at Harry's? Anybody remember that? Of course, Sean did. But yeah. But anyway, Harry, that came out of Harry's out there. It's a DAS, Dutch aquarium systems. They're great systems. I love them. This is some of our remodeled driftwood. We just got another whole truckload of driftwood. We had to stuff it on the top. But anyway, got that. So anyway, as my love for the hobby continues, I decided that I wanted a big show in East Tennessee. And I went out on a limb and I rented the expo center. And we started building this thing. And basically Aquaticon is for anybody. Yes, I'm probably going to catch some heat for letting hobbyists in. But there are a few rules. But if you want to get a table and sell your fish, you can do that. There are some rules and regulations we're working on. April's been on board with me for a couple weeks now, and she's just now really starting to take on a lot of the Aquaticon planning and project responsibility. But Aquaticon is for everybody. Funny, Renewal by Anderson is going to have a window booth there. I've tried 3 times to tell them, this is not the show for you, but Renewal by Anderson is going to be there. And I'm like, I will take your money, you know?
Might as well.
You'll get to see, you can look at fish through windows. But anyway, we've got a long way to go. We've got some stuff to work. We're meeting with a YouTuber tomorrow in April and going to really start pushing this thing. Just to say this, one of the rules is no sharing of booths. I mean, because of the cost of the facility, to be fair to everybody that's there, we can't have 2 and 3 people piling up in one booth, because then the people that are in business with corals and business with fish and axolotls and frogs and other stuff, it is freshwater, saltwater, and reptiles, and it stops there. There's no 4-legged animals allowed. I mean, we're not going that far, but we are allowing reptiles in.
They got 4 legs, some of them.
Well, that's true. That's true. Yeah, thank you, Jason. Yeah, but I mean, as far as furry, or anything else outside the reptile, we are hoping in the next few weeks to expand into aquatic reptiles at Aquatic Marine. We've got a lot of things going on right now, and Aquaticon's one of them, so it may be after Aquaticon, but we want to bring in some terrariums and some things like that and try to do something I've never done before. So Aquaticon will be the 30th, and basically you can buy a ticket, come in. There's volunteers if you want to volunteer to help us with, wear one of our fancy volunteer shirts, event staff, whatever we're going to make, whatever April designs. Put that on your list. But anyway, so if you want to volunteer, you can go on Aquatic Marine and then click on Aquaticon. There's a volunteer form at the bottom. Fill that out. We need volunteers for Friday for setup between 12 noon and 8 p.m. on Friday, and then Saturday from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. for the show, and then breakdowns before 9. Aquatic Marine will be open till 9 both those nights, and we are working on a hotel close by for those that are traveling in. So there's a lot of stuff going on, but basically, if you've ever been to a coral show or some of the fish shows, I want to go one year to the hotel cichlid swap thing up in Ohio. I've never been. Anybody here been? That would be a great club event. Carpool, get a rental van. Go there.
There's a goldfish show in Orlando too.
A goldfish show?
Yes.
Yeah. I'll tell you this, I've seen some goldfish on some of our distributor lists that are like $300 wholesale. I'm like, a goldfish, that's a nasty fish. How can it be $300, But we get people coming in looking for special ones. But anyway, we sell a lot of goldfish. I have nothing against them, but I'm $300 one, you're gonna have to show me some diamonds or something coming out of that thing. But there's some really beautiful
You got
goldfish.
corals just as much as them goldfish and saltwater fish, dude. Don't be hating counting the goldfish now.
I'm just hating on the price tag. But anyway, so we want to welcome everybody in, and the thing is, one thing we ask for hobbyists is to be competitive price. Don't come in and sell Zoas for $2 a piece if the average cost is $7 to $8. You know, give everybody a good deal. It's like an indoor garage sale for fish, I mean, basically. We're going to have a kids section with face painting, balloons, coloring sheets, stuff. There's going to be, I don't know how many YouTubers there that you can meet.
At least 2.
Yeah, well, no, 3 counting Ed, but Sean's going to be there. But also, what I'll say is that there is a couple big names that we have been talking to. I don't want to disclose that right now, but until I get something confirmed, hopefully this week, then we'll make those announcements, I promise, and stuff. But anyway, Aquatic is just come enjoy it. There's food provided by the expo. They have a concession center. We're not doing any food in the show, but you're welcome to buy food from them. But anyway, volunteers to help the coral vendors as they show up, get in and out. We're gonna have some dry good vendors. I'm super excited about Reef Nutrition. Majority of what they make is for saltwater and food products, but their food is amazing. It's refrigerated, it's easy to use. They're our premium sponsor this year, and I was super blessed when we got those guys. Fritz is wanting in, CJ's wanting in, Kessel's wanting in. So we've got several things in the works, and now we've hit that 90-day spot, and we've got to start nailing all this down. So we've got a lot more phone calls this week and planning to make. And then Josh, my son's going to be speaking. We're going to have speakers. He's going to be speaking about rockscaping, both freshwater and saltwater, and some of the tools he uses when he's cutting and shaping rock and stuff. So he's going to be a speaker, and then we've got couple others lined up. Again, I don't want to disclose. One of them used to be on a reality TV show, but I haven't nailed that down yet, but we're hoping to get that nailed down this week. We've been texting back and forth, and it's very sporadic. I'll text him today, and 10 days later, I'll get a response. But anyway, and any questions about Aquatic? Anything?
How much
Is
are
the
tickets?
first year you're doing it?
It is the first year of the show.
How much are the tickets?
Tickets are $18. And
There's also a VIP ticket, right?
there's also a VIP ticket. You get a T-shirt. I don't even remember what all you get.
A bunch of stuff. I've
Do
seen,
what?
there's a bunch of stuff that you get for the
quite a
VIP
few
ticket.
things.
I've
You
seen
get,
the
and
list.
you get in early so you can hang out with Sean privately, one-on-one. at 10 a.m.
He's buying lunch for everybody who gets a VIP ticket.
I have a special dance.
But you get to come in early. You get to shop before anybody else. The VIPs will be let in. We'll start lining the VIPs up at probably 9 o'clock, 9:15, depending on how many tickets we sell. We are going to have to limit those. I'm waiting to hear back from the fire marshal because of the floor plan's been submitted, and this is all new to me, so I'm having to learn a few things and negotiate. I was a fireman a long time ago, but we didn't have to deal with the marshals much, you know, except after the fact investigations, whatever. But apparently they don't want 5,000 people in there at one time. I'm like, why not? But anyway, so we have to.
Water everywhere.
And the reason it's in flux is because we have to project how many vendor people, how many volunteers are going to be in there, how my staff's going to be in there, how many people are going to be in there, and then figure out how many people. So I need a total count. So I'm trying to keep all this. So I don't want to oversell tickets and then get in trouble with them, especially for that first hour. And then there's raffles. The raffles are going to be pretty impressive with some things we've got. So it's going to be rather. Am I going too long?
already
Shut up. Okay. All right. I'll tell you one other thing we're doing. We probably won't get this completely done, but before we won't get any training or any classes scheduled before Aquaticon. There's just too much on my plate right now. But we are developing curriculum for both freshwater first timers and saltwater first timers, and we're going to start teaching classes at Aquatic Marine hopefully in May. May to June timeframe. It doesn't cost you anything. It will cost you $10 to reserve your seat. If you don't show up, we use your $10 to buy donuts for everybody else. And you don't get your money back. But if you come to the class and you complete the little 45-minute class, we answer all your questions, give you some materials, go over a PowerPoint, talk to you about it. You get a $10 gift certificate to spend in the store, so you don't really lose anything. It just kind of reserves the time because I'm going to have to pay somebody to come in and teach the class if I'm not available, and it just kind of covers the logistics and then scheduling, that kind of thing. So that's something else that's coming for people that are new to the hobby that want to learn stuff. And and we may do fragging classes and other things, but we want to start really trying to bring the community in and welcome people in that are first timers and stuff. I think that's it. Any more questions? But we are creating a non-for-profit in order to do that. So all the raffle proceeds will go into educational flyers and things for the hobby, and it'll be reinvested into things like laptops and stuff in order to teach those classes, materials, and different things for that. So that's what the proceeds for the raffle. The CPA is working on the non-for-profit right now. I think that's it. Last announcement is, or gift from us for you all to raffle, however you choose, is a whole house water filter. So one of you lucky folks, and I guess for me personally, I would just ask that if you're not going to use it, have them pass it on. But we're going to donate this today so somebody can have better water quality in the future. Y'all can probably get a hose outside and make your own water here and share it. But anyway, just thank you all for having me today. I really do appreciate the opportunity. And if we can ever help you in any way, please let me know. If we can help the club in the future, please let us know. And I do appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. So at this time, we are going to do our raffle. So basically, has everybody written on a ticket or gotten a ticket and gotten everything on there? Are these to keep? Which one? These are instant.
We get more.
Okay. So has everybody filled out a raffle ticket? Everybody saying yes to that? So basically what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pull it out. Now, obviously, on our table, we have 53 items. We can count, as I can, there are not 53 people in here. So go up to the table, get your item, and then afterwards, I mean, when there's there's 27 items still sitting on the table, then just go up and say, oh, I want another bag of this, okay? And just let everybody, but so if you're first to pick, you're welcome to grab the filtration system as well. So let me just go over a few of the items that we do have. They're all written up on the on this board. John left, but everything has been donated. No one's been charged a dime to show up here. And we're asking that when you come here, if you have a few extra clippings, like Sean decided, hey, bring some for us, hook us up, bring us up, because we'd like to share this. This is what this is about.
I bought them from him.
So let's just share amongst ourselves. This is what this is all about. So we have 5 pair of platinum angels. We have a pair of black swordtails, a bag of least killifish. We have 3 male guppies. Kane was nice enough to only give you male, so you'll have 452 of them next week. So there's 2 bags of those. There's some mystery snails. I'm just going over the live stuff first. And then API took the time to give us a bunch of stuff a little bit back. So we've got 3 different API products as well. And then after that, it's all planted, just plants. My goal initially was to write, okay, is this high tech, low tech, all that stuff, but that didn't happen. Because I mean, we got, like I said, we have 52 items up here. So if you get up here and you're like, do I want cryptocorn wendi? And you don't know if this is a plant, just ask anybody around and say, this is, I've got a, you can explain what kind of tank you have or something like that. Because last time we were all sent home with a very high-tech plant. And I put out to the board members this morning, did anybody have any success of that? And Kane was like, mine's still floating, it's kind of dying on the vine. Mine barely poked its head out. Cassandra, she's of course got hers growing 4 feet tall by 6 feet wide. But it's it was a high-tech plant. We probably all shouldn't have taken some home. So if you have a question about a plant, by all means ask, or a fish. Last time we also had some cichlids donated, and they were a little bit more aggressive but none of that stuff is aggressive. So if you have a question about it, by all means, ask. So everybody filled out a ticket? I did not either. I'm gonna grab some at the end.
Yeah, I didn't hear.
Everybody else is in here? All right. Well, that's the first one. Then let's see who it is. Henley Ball, you're the winner.
No kidding?
Yep, that's your name, isn't it? So you can pick anything you want. He's gonna grab that whole house filter. Thank you so much. That's gonna be installed at our shop, I'm hoping. If not, I know where I'm getting my water from. Okay, great. All right, so our second on our list And afterwards, like I said, just come.
So is
grab
this like a white elephant Christmas, somebody can bump him and take his gift and?
If you're feeling that kind of froggy, then go right ahead. Let's see what kind of puppy you got. Okay, Victoria, you're next. And at this point, this is as informal as it gets. Y'all are welcome to mingle amongst yourselves. I'm going to sit here and call out some names in the meantime, but if you have a question for anybody else or want to find out what Sean's really into or anybody else, introduce yourselves. This is the time to become a club and meet some of your fellow fish nerds, because I have a funny feeling that's what we all are. I don't know if anybody who just has 1 10-gallon amongst us. That's a sin.
Me.
Yeah, feel free.
I have an
Just one.
apartment.
We're working on it. We're working on it. Victoria,
Walk
this is year
around.
1 for Victoria. After this point, we'll get her. We'll shove about 30 tanks.
I may only have a 10-gallon, but I take care of her 75.
See, she's already got multi-tank syndrome. It'll just take some time.
Thank you.